Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name's Catherine, and this is the story of how I was diagnosed with breast cancer. In December of 2020, I started to feel some discomfort in my right breast. At the time, I was newly pregnant, so I thought maybe my breast was changing. It always kind of hurt and felt weird because I was pregnant. But I started to notice some pronounced lumps in my breast. There was a smaller one that felt kind of like a hard P under the skin. And then there was a larger one that felt maybe a little bit more cyst-like. It was kind of sore to touch, and I had some discomfort when lying on it. So when I started noticing that there's some actual lumps there, my first thought, of course, goes to cancer. And the fact that I was pregnant and that my husband and I had tried to get pregnant for years and had finally been successful by doing IVF, my first thought was, oh my God, if this is cancer, they're going to make me terminate the pregnancy. So I'm not going to tell anybody. I thought about that for a couple days and then, came to my senses, like, it's ridiculous. That you need to have this looked at, and whatever it is, we'll deal with it. I did a little bit of doctor Googling, and, I saw hopeful things on the web about what you can do while you're pregnant and have cancer. So I made an appointment with my family doctor, and I went in, had an exam done, and he referred me to have a breast ultrasound done. I wasn't able to do a mammogram because at the time I was pregnant, so mammograms aren't safe if you're pregnant. I got into the ultrasound appointment the day after, and they spent like a good, hour and a half or so just going over every single inch of that boob. I'd been looking at so many ultrasounds through all of the fertility stuff. I thought maybe I could know what I was looking at, but it's completely different in the breast. All I could see was just lots of stuff that I was hoping was cysts. I mean, when I told my reproductive endocrinologist about it, he's like, cysts are common with pregnancy. My mom was like, cysts are common with pregnancy. So I thought, these are going to turn out to be cysts. It's going to be fine. So a couple days later, my family doctor calls me and asks me to come back into the office so that we can talk. The results were in, and the ultrasound technician had flagged it as suspicious and likely to be carcinoma. So the next step was to be referred to a breast diagnostic clinic at the hospital where they would do additional tests and determine whether it was cancerous or benign, and go from there. So I waited for the breast diagnostic clinic to call in order to book the appointment. And in the meantime, I went in for my basically weekly check with my reproductive endocrinologist. We had done a number of ultrasounds before, maybe like 2 or 3 beforehand. We'd seen the heartbeat twice. And so this week I went in, and I was about 9 weeks pregnant. And I remember going into the ultrasound and thinking it was a little odd that the technician wasn't talking to me, because we've known each other for years. We've been doing ultrasounds for years together, and she wasn't saying anything. And normally she angles the screen so that I can see what she's seeing, but this time she wouldn't let me see the screen. And I never forget when she was done and she turned to me. She wouldn't make eye contact. She turned to me and she says, "You need to go to the doctor. It's not good." So it was confirmed that we had a miscarriage. The baby had passed away about a week prior. So within days of each other, I was told that I potentially have cancer, and I lost our baby. I went to the breast diagnostic clinic a few days after that and met with the surgeon there who did another exam. I had so much paperwork to fill out, which was super fun because like every other question was regarding pregnancy. So I had to keep explaining over and over that, I was pregnant. It's a miscarriage, so technically haven't started physically miscarrying, but I'm no longer pregnant. So that was super hard. But it did open some doors for tests. He sent me for a mammogram that day, and I had another 1.5 hour ultrasound. They really scan every inch of your breast when they do that. And he booked me in for a number of other tests. He felt that based on the rating from the original ultrasound, it warranted fast-moving pace. So he booked me in for a MRI, a biopsy, a bone scan, and a CT. And I think within like a week and a half, I had completed all of the tests, and we were just waiting for results. For the biopsy, they biopsied 3 lumps because I had multiple lesions that were suspicious for cancer spread out throughout my breast. So they did 3 biopsies of the lumps, and then they also biopsied one of my lymph nodes because it had shown on the ultrasound some slight thickening. So they wanted to see whether there was any cancer cells in the lymph node. So I went in and had that biopsy done, which was okay. Like, it wasn't painful to have done, but afterwards, it's like my boobs swelled up to like almost not double, but it swelled up quite a bit. It was really weird looking. So yeah, after we finished all the tests, we had an appointment booked on February 16th. So from when I saw my doctor originally on January 6th to seeing the breast diagnostic clinic on January 19th, on February 16th, we were scheduled to go over all of the test results, but instead of making us wait like over the course of a long weekend, the doctor called on the Wednesday beforehand in order to let me know that all of the tests, the biopsies, did come back positive for cancer. Well, one of them was rated as benign, but they think based on the scans, it was very unlikely that it was not cancer. So it was sort of chalked up to a sampling error. And my lymph node came back as positive for cancer. So I was told the options, which was basically option 1 was surgery, chemo, radiation. Option 2, chemo, surgery, radiation. Hormone therapy is thrown in there as a possibility, but until they have the biomarkers of the cancer, that would be undetermined. So the surgeon who's been working with me from the breast diagnostic clinic referred me to a medical oncologist, and I met with her, where it was then confirmed that we were going to start with chemo and then move on to surgery and then radiation. The chemo plan was 8 treatments. 4 will be with it's called AC. It's a combination of 2 drugs. One of them is just lovingly nicknamed the Red Devil, and apparently that's the one that makes you lose your hair. And then the second round is a drug called Taxol, but then it would be grouped with another drug potentially if the biomarkers come back as being like hormone receptive. So if it's estrogen positive, progesterone positive, or positive for the HER2 protein, then another drug would be added to the last 4 treatments. My biomarkers came back, and the two masses are triple negative, which means they are not positive for any of those receptors, which makes it so like it's kind of this like rogue acting cancer. There's no specific reason for it to pop up. Like, it's not because of estrogen or progesterone or HER2 protein or anything like that. It's just doing its thing on its own time. Triple negative, as well as the more aggressive and faster moving, and has a higher rate of reoccurrence. So that was awesome to hear. They decided at that point as well to do a second biopsy, just to confirm that all three masses are actually triple negative, because they are all three separate masses considered multi-centric and not just one that has expanded or spread. There is a potential that they could all have different biomarkers, but it's looking like they're all going to be triple negative. We're still waiting on the results right now of the third one. So, plan in place to start chemo. I'm actually right now about a day and a half away from my first treatment. I have gone in and had my teaching course on what to expect, side effects, prescriptions, just all of the prep work, lots of blood work, lots and lots of blood work, in order to prepare for Monday, which will be March 15th, to start the next 16 weeks of chemo treatments. It'll be one every other week for 16 weeks, so 8 in total. So yeah, right now just trying to prepare myself and, whatever I need to bring with me, that kind of stuff, in order to just be ready and feel less anxious. As we're getting closer to Monday, I'm feeling definitely a lot more anxious and just, just want to get there, but at the same time, like when I do, it just means it's really real. So that's, it's kind of hard to just like wrap my head around that. Today we had to go in and just finish up some paperwork and whatnot with the reproductive endocrinologist, just finalize some things. And it was really hard saying goodbye to everyone there and effectively closing the door on that chapter right now, after spending 3 years working with them and, just sharing the ups and downs and, working towards the goal and the dream of having a baby. And then in the course of, a week, basically, the first week in January was awesome. But then, like, after that first week, it just all fell apart. I worry about, what the future holds, not, just for future cancer, since triple negative is one that has a higher reoccurrence rate, but also, like, I'm 41 years old right now, and when this is all said and done, like, when I beat cancer, it's going to be at least a year or two. There's a chance that my body will go into menopause because of the chemotherapy, and, after, again, having my primary goal was to get pregnant, and then at the end of this could end up in menopause. That's just kind of hard to grasp. I mean, we're blessed in that we did IVF before, so we have some frozen embryos that, if we need to in the future, we can pull from that. But it's just really hard closing the door on something that you've wanted for so long. And because of something like cancer, Like, fuck cancer. Like, where the fuck did this come from, and like, why now? I find myself thinking that a lot. Like, in my head, I'll just be like, how is this my life? Like, how is this my life? But, I mean, you can't really change it, and you just have to do what you gotta do right now, and, you know, just try. It's gonna be hard. I'm scared. Still somewhat in disbelief, but I feel like Monday is where it's gonna get like super, super real. Anyways, I just wanted to share my story, and if you watch this, I want to say thank you for watching it. When I first found out I had cancer, or even like the possibility of cancer, I feel like I turned to YouTube and I watched a number of people's stories. I still do. Each step I get in my cancer journey, and I have questions, I looked on YouTube to, you know, see what other people did, and how they dealt with things and what's to come. And, you know, I just found it incredibly comforting and helpful. So I thought maybe I'd share my story, and if it helps someone, then great. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing this. Again, thanks for watching, and I mean, you can follow along if you want to. And that was my cat saying, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.